And now it's time for Leadership of the Leaf with Dice and Austin. Let's jump in with a cut and a light.
All right, welcome everyone to this bonus episode. It's a sidebar. Yeah, so this sidebar episode is going to be a pretty good topic for debate. I'm pretty sure everyone has their own thoughts and feelings about it, but do you give someone a second chance after they burn you? Ooh. So after they let you down, do you continue to try to use that person?
Oh, that is I could see this getting heated for a little bit, but I know our thoughts and feelings are gonna be pretty similar on this. I can see, we're usually of the same mind in most things, but I would say it depends. I think it depends on the situation.
I would agree. It depends. I would love to get feedback. People listening, if you want to provide some feedback, please do so. I would love to hear it.
Yes. Please reach out to us on Instagram at Leadership of the Leaf, or on our blog. Our Instagram has a link to our blog saying what it is. It's wixsite.com/LOTL.
Before we get started, I guess, because we smoke cigars and talk leadership. So what cigar are you smoking, sir?
I decided to pick up this one that I picked up when you and me were hanging out. It is a Barbacoa Street Taco. It's a flavored cigar, and if anyone who listens to the show, they know that I don't smoke flavored cigars all that often. Really hardly at all. I think this is my first flavored cigar on this show. But it's interesting so far. I'm maybe half an inch in, and it's enjoyable. I'm interested to see if the Street Taco name lives up, because I know you've had one and you've recommended it, which is why I picked it up. So hopefully your recommendation doesn't steer me wrong.
I recommend it for the experience. It's a good cigar. I'm not saying that, but I'll also recommend it for the experience. So I want to see if you experienced the same as I did. What I am smoking is a Casa 1910 Cuchillo Parado. It's a Mexican puro. So everything involved with this cigar is all Mexican. We talked about it before. I believe it was on the TPE bonus episode. You can go back and listen to it. But everything that has to do with this cigar is all done in Mexico.
Oh, that one is going to be interesting. I think one of the last episodes I smoked an Illusion TTA exclusive or TAA exclusive, and that one actually was, I didn't mention it in that episode, but it was a Nicaraguan puro.
Okay.
Binder, wrapper, filler, all Nicaraguan.
Yeah, this is definitely a Mexican puro, down to the printed band, to the cellophane, to the boxes. Everything about this is Mexican puro. So all right. More power to them. I think they're a new company. Well, I know they're a new company startup. So I'll give it a burn and see what it's like. My first instance is I get graham crackers on that cold draw.
Well, all right. Well, I want to see how that one turns out. But all right. So if somebody burns you, do you give them a second chance?
Well, when you say they burn me, I need a little more about how they burn me. This is going to determine the second chance or not.
Oh, all right. So let's throw a hypothetical out there, because we're all fans of hypothetical here on this show.
Yeah, hypothetically.
Hypothetically, we are. Let's just say that you gave them enough rope. They hung themselves, but somehow got it turned around to where basically you're at fault now, even though it's their fault, but somehow the blame got passed to you. Would you give them another chance?
In that scenario, I would have to, because not only do I have to give them a second chance, I have to redeem myself also. I have to show I have the chutzpah to make it happen.
So I would disagree slightly. If they burn me, if they messed up, and yet I'm taking the blame for them, one, I question their integrity at that point. right? I don't know
Yeah.
that they're, I obviously am knowing that they're a liar and they're not able to take responsibility for their actions. And if I am getting blamed for either not getting the job done, then I'm going to make sure I'm going to shorten that leash up, and I'm going to make sure that the job gets done correctly, so that way I don't have to worry about this in the future. Now, if I would give them as much of a chance, I would have to give them another chance, because I may not be in that, being in a leadership role. I'm not working as, on the nuts and bolts of the process, so to speak. I would watch them probably a little bit closer this time and not give them as much rope. So second chance, kind of, but not really.
Yeah, I can see that. There's a scenario that I had a subordinate that would show up to work late. Now, my bosses asked me, like, why can't your guy show up on time? So I looked my bosses in the eye and I was like, he will be on work every time, on time, for the rest of his, while he works with us. Unbeknownst to management at that time, I was having that individual call me when he wakes up every morning. He had to call me at a certain time. If he didn't call me at that certain time, then there would be hell to pay, and I would probably provide some remedial training. But eventually, word got back to management, and they said I was handicapping that individual. I was his crutch to make it happen. So my second chance was never given to him because I made sure that it didn't happen. Now, once they took that crutch away, the individual did fail.
Right. And that's where to me, it's not, yes, you can do that. You can give them that crutch and say, hey, this is what I'm going to do. And this is how I'm going to make sure that you succeed. But at the end of the day, it also comes down to your leadership, whoever that is, to realize that, hey, if your subordinate was late, that's not on you. You are not sleeping in the same house as that person and waking them up and making sure their butt gets to work. They're at that point, they're an individual and they're an adult that should be able to get their a-hole on to work on time.
Right, which in this scenario, I was not providing any rope. I was providing like an endless rope because I was setting up my own standards to have that individual contact me before he even showed up to work. That way I knew he was up and like getting ready to come to work.
Right.
So in all actuality, I never afforded that guy to have a second chance because I always was feeding him rope to allow him to come to work on time, because I was pretty much his alarm clock. I was pretty much being his parent. So it was a leadership learning guideline for me to like, hey, you, and that individual did eventually hang himself, which is unfortunate because I believe he had the ability to become something pretty great, but unfortunately he hung himself.
Right, but that's not so. In that scenario, that was a failure of that individual that leadership kind of passed to you. The hypothetical is, let's say that individual produced a widget and missed a step producing that widget, and then basically ended up blaming you, and your leadership blamed you for that misstep, even though it really was his fault. Whatever the case is, you didn't give him enough time, you rushed him, whatever the case was. Would you give him another chance to sit there and potentially burn you? Set it up in a situation?
I never gave that individual a second chance to burn me. I cut him loose. Okay.
So would you, let's say, because I used to work for you when I was much younger than I am now. If I burned you, would you have given me a second chance where I was the go-to worker bee, where I was doing things correctly, I was making things correctly, but I ended up missing a step and I kind of ended up burning you, not on purpose necessarily, but it ended up that you got burned, would you have given me a second chance?
Most definitely, because you was willing to learn and listen to what the actual dilemma or issue that had caused me to get burned from your actions.
Okay.
Most individuals, I will give a second chance to if they don't lie to my face. If you ever lie straight to my face, like bold face, then that's it. I'm pretty much, there's no second chance involved. You can go to someone else and maybe get a second chance, but I already counted you out. I don't trust anything you say. I don't trust anything you do. I will 100% scrutinize every single step of the process that was accomplished by an individual that lied straight to my face.
And I would agree with that. I 100%. Now, here's where I kind of want to flip the script. What happens if it's your boss that burns you? Do you give your boss, let's say you messed up, or your boss told you to do something incorrectly, and you question them, and they say, hey, this is the way it is. Go forth and conquer, and you're like, all right, whatever you say, boss. And you go, you do it, and then the bigger boss comes down and tries to get on your ass, and your boss basically hangs you out to dry. Would you give your boss a second chance?
I would, but there was definitely be more parameters set to kind of cover my ass.
Okay.
It will have to be like, if you want me to do step A and step B and it doesn't work out, I want you to know that when it comes down to the brass tacks, it's going to show on you, not me, because I want to do step C, not A and B. I want to do step C, but because you're the boss, I'm going to do what you want me to do, but I want you to understand this is not the right way.
Okay. I would agree that you kind of got to cover your ass, because my thing is I've been in that situation where I got hung out to dry by my boss before, and I have a hard time trusting any boss that will not take responsibility for their decisions and their actions. I have a hard time giving that person a second chance.
I do have a hard time, but because of how the structure is in certain situations, like you have to kind of listen to your boss. If that's what they want, then okay, that's what you want, but I want you to know A and B is not the way to go.
Right. And see, that's where I would include the big boss in there and say, hey, I'm going to cover my ass a little bit, and I'm going to let the big boss know that you want A and B and that I wanted C, and if it fails, it's on you, not on me.
Right. But you got to have the tact, I guess that's the right way to say it, the tact to be able to explain why you want to do why you want to do C instead of A and B, instead of just saying, I think it's the better way.
Yeah. If you got a logical explanation for why you want to do C over A and B, then that makes sense. But if you're just saying, well, this is the way that I'm more comfortable with doing this job is C, not A and B, then that's not really a good scenario, so to speak.
It's kind of like giving enough rope to your boss, because if your boss is adamant about a certain situation, but you're a subject matter expert more than that individual is, like you've been building widgets a whole lot longer than your boss, because your boss just happened to be from a different career field or something, then you have to be able to provide sound explanation to why you want to do C. But if your boss continues with A and B, then you have to provide them enough rope to hang themselves to where they can get a better understanding of where you was coming from the beginning.
Yeah. I was talking with my dad the other day, and my dad has been a commercial loan officer for 40 years, right? He's on the cusp of retirement. And he went to another bank, and his boss happens to be a 30-something-year-old kid, right? And the 30-year-old kid wants to do stuff this way, and that way, and my dad keeps telling me, you can't do things that way. It doesn't work. You're going to get caught by the FCC, or no, I'm sorry, the SEC, the Exchange Commission, because it's bank. And he's like, you're going to get caught. And it's not going to be good because you can't do it this way. And this is why. And he goes, no, that's not true. Just do it the way I said. And my dad has straight out refused and said, if you want it done that way, then you do it that way. And meanwhile, I'm going to do the task my way. And now, granted, he has a little bit more leeway because he's like, fuck you, I can retire anytime I want. So he has that freedom. But the president of the bank ended up getting a phone call from the SEC and ended up firing that VP, and asked my dad why he didn't help him. And he's like, I did. And he's like, where's the proof? He goes, well, here's all the emails that I sent the guy. And he's like, oh, okay, got it. And that's what helped lead to the guy's firing.
Yeah. Which is a valuable lesson of making sure that you have something in writing, because I have worked for someone that told me to do something and I was like, this is not quite right. And then of course, when all the cards fall, that individual was like, I never said that. Whoa, what? Wait, what? So no, it was the proof was he said, she said. Yeah, that's not proof.
Yeah. I had that on the first time that I moved to a new work center, a new place of business. And as I was leaving, instead of getting a letter of recommendation, I got basically disciplinary action right as I was leaving, because the boss that I was working for at the time had told me to do things a certain way, and it was 90% correct. And I was like, well, what happens if the other 10% comes down? And he goes, no worries, man, I got you. And I believed him. And then when the shit hit the fan, he did not have my back, and I ended up getting disciplinary action. And I was like, well, I'm already leaving anyway, so I really don't care. So fuck y'all. But and I even had proof. I had things in writing, and nobody seemed to care that I had things in writing.
Yeah, in that situation, I just can't give that person a second chance. I will have to take all precautions to protect myself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think, from our point of view, the only time you're going to give somebody a second chance is if, one, it was an honest mistake and they kind of took responsibility for their actions, or two, that person is willing to learn and grow from that experience. And then you can go from there and say, okay, hey, this happened last time, and let's go forth and conquer and not make that same mistake again. You kind of burned me, but we'll figure it out together.
Yeah, I typically have a sidebar with that and with that individual, and like, hey, you burned me on this situation here this time. I want to know, did you learn anything from the mistake that was made? Because moving forward, I want to make sure, A, you learn something, and B, you don't burn me again, because you're kind of a reflection of what I am standing here for. You're a reflection of what I'm teaching. You're a reflection of my leadership. So right. I want to make sure that we have all our ducks in a row this time.
Yeah. And I think that's the biggest thing is I think it comes down to judging intent in some ways. Did they mean to burn you? Was it like malicious in intent? Or was it like a straight up honest mistake and there was not really any malicious intent?
Well, basically, I kind of want to see what the answer is. Are they trying to cover their ass? Or are they moving forward? Because you can have a rookie of the year kind of guy working for you, but if he makes a mistake and he's just trying to cover his ass, then that's also, I don't want to say gray area, but it's also an area that you got to work with. Talk to your shoulder angels if you want to give this guy a second chance or not, because he's just trying to cover his ass. So if he makes the same mistake again, or a different mistake of the same magnitude, like, is he going to try to cover his ass again, or is he going to own up?
Right. Well, and I think that, again, like I said, like we talked about, that comes down to how do they conduct themselves when the shit hits the fan? How do they conduct themselves? Did they just straight up lie and cover their ass and put all the blame on you, or did they say, inadvertently burn you, or did what happened?
Well, because I guarantee you had someone that worked for you, or you work for them, or however. But no matter what happens, they're never at fault. They're never in the wrong. It's always someone else or something else. It's never that individual.
Yeah.
So how do you give someone like that a second chance?
See, that's, to me, I think that's the problem for me, at least, is I don't really give them a second chance, because I take all the rope away, and I basically just say, fine, if this is how you want to act, that's fine, but you're not getting any leeway from my point of view anymore, because if I give you leeway, you've already proven what you're going to do with it.
Yeah, I had an individual that had to take parts and made widgets to different locations, because that's where they're supposed to get stored at. And this person, when they get in the vehicle to take the parts to a different location, they would take the longest route possible to get there. Now, time is money and money is time. And if you waste either of those, then you're kind of on my shit list. So this individual would take a half hour when it should have took 10 minutes. So when they come back and I question them, and they never fess up to that, I took the scenic route, then that individual, I can never let them take another part or deliver anything ever again, because this individual already lied to me saying that they took the shortest route, when I know that's a lie.
Right. I think that's, like I said, that comes down to a little bit of intent. Was it malicious? Were they trying to I love bar rescue, and so if you're stealing time, you're stealing money, and that makes you a thief. No matter how many ways you slice it, that makes you a thief. And so if they're gonna fess up to, I took the long route, I wanted a little bit of a break in the day, I was having a rough day. Okay, fine. Hey, you fessed up to it. I kind of get that you may be having a rough day. Don't do that again. Okay, fine. Yes, boss. Whatever. Got it. But if they sit there and just like, no, I don't know what you're talking about. I went straight there, straight back. Really? Interesting, because I saw you when I went to another appointment, and I saw you taking the long route, and you were caught red-handed. So what you gotta say now?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. I know you're sorry, otherwise we wouldn't be having this fucking conversation.
Boom, baby. What are you drinking with your cigar? What are you pairing it with?
This one's an interesting pairing because, like I said, it's a street taco. I wish I had tequila in my house, because I would have absolutely loved to pair this with some tequila and lime. But as it sits right now, I'm pairing it with a nice whiskey. It's a Jack Daniel's single barrel. But if I had tequila and lime, I would 100% pair that with this.
I have to agree with you. I'm drinking Hennessy, NBA edition Hennessy. It's just a fancy bottle.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. I could probably do rum with this.
Ooh.
I got a coconut rum in my house. Not like a Malibu, like where it's overly coconutty, but like a nice hint of coconut. There's a local distillery down here that I've gone and gotten their coconut rum, and I think that would also go really well with this.
All right. So back to the second chance. So let's flip it to a cigar point of view. If you had a cigar that was bad, or you just had a bad experience with the cigar, for us flavor-wise, not construction, just flavor-wise, would you give that cigar a second chance?
All right, so here's my qualifying question. How many of these cigars have I smoked? Just one? Or is just this one. my two?
Just one. It's a pepper bomb all the way through. I know you're not a big fan of cedar, so it's a pepper bomb at the beginning, strong cedar throughout, and pepper bomb at the end. Would you give that cigar a second chance?
I would let the second one probably age for a couple months, and then I would try it again. If that second one was the same way, that cigar is scratched off, basically. I know I've talked about it in the past. I used to smoke Gurkhas quite a bit. And the Gurkha I used to smoke was a Gurkha Ghost. I remember it. It was Gurkha Ghost. I used to go in there and buy Gurkha Ghosts. Why? I liked the band. I thought I was being a badass. They're pepper bombs, man. I smoked probably 2 or 3 of them. Again, just through sheer, I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing. But knowing what I know now, like if I was to smoke that first one, I'd be like, you know what? I'll try a second one. Maybe I just got a weird filler. Maybe I got the end of something. And maybe it's really not supposed to be that peppery or whatever. And maybe I need to expand my palate a little bit more. But I would try to let it mellow out and try a second one. If after the second one, I'm done. You know, it's a fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. So after that second one, if it's still that way, I'm done.
And say I'm kind of the opposite. If I actually smoke one that's just horrible from beginning to end, I may try it again at a later date, but more than likely not.
You know what? I think so. We tried that Aging Room Quattro, right?
Yeah.
The cigar of the year for 2020, 2019?
I think it was 2019.
So we both tried it. And we were both enjoying the crap out of that cigar. And then about 2/3 of the way through, it hit with white pepper. I mean, it socked us both in the mouth. Obviously, we hadn't done any research on it, but it was cigar of the year, so we were both like, yeah, let's give it a shot. I have not picked up another one, and I don't plan on it, actually.
Yeah, same. So it more than likely will not get a second chance. It may fall into my lap to where I would try it again, but for as like picking, I don't think I would pick it on purpose. Like, let me get that Quattro again. Let me go ahead and smoke that one.
Well, yeah, and see, that's the thing. If I go to a cigar lounge and I pick a new cigar and I try it and it's just terrible and I only bought one of them, I'm probably not going to try it again. But if I end up buying 2 out of a brick and mortar, I bring one home and I'm like, I got 2 of these, let me try smoking it, and it's just terrible, I'm going to let that other one age for a little bit, and then I'm try it again at a later date, if that makes sense.
That makes plenty of sense.
Because that's, I think that's the kicker for me, is like, if I go and pick something up from a cigar lounge and I just hate it, and I didn't buy 2 of them to begin with, why am I going to go buy another one again? Right. Why am I going to spend my money on a $10 cigar again?
Well, that Aging Room definitely wasn't $10, but yeah, I understand exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, well, yeah.
So in the same sense, that's like a person. So if a person is just nasty and just disrespectful and didn't even do the job right the first time, I mean, after a while, maybe that person can grow. Maybe some teaching and some wisdom has instilled in that person. And then maybe after some time, I can give them a second chance. But giving them a second chance right away, that's not going to happen.
Yeah, I think it's going to come down to maturity level a little bit, and then also, what have they done? Have they kind of proven themselves a little bit, and on some other less important tasks, and maybe I can give them a second chance, or maybe I just need to cut them loose. Maybe I just need to say, hey, this job is not for you. This task is not for you. I'm done with you.
Yeah, you might need to get a career change.
Yeah, I mean, we just kind of fired a person. I gave them a chance. They took 4 hours on a 30-minute job, and I was beyond upset with them. Counseled them. They kind of got a little bit better and for a little bit, and then went right back to their old ways. And after that, I was like, all right, I'm done with you. And that was with me really keeping a close eye on him.
Well, you mentioned bar rescue. That happens actually quite often in bar rescue. Like he'll go and he'll change the procedures inside. He'll change the sign outside to make it more inviting for customers to come in. And then they do like the 2 weeks afterwards. And the guy put the sign back up, like the old sign back up. And he's right back in his old ways. So being on that show I would assume he wouldn't go back in to try to rescue that same bar.
No, actually. So I just watched an episode where he rescued a bar and then left, and it was doing good. And then 2 years later, came back to the same bar, and it like everything that he put in place fell to the wayside. And the guy wanted him to rescue his bar again, and he's like, "Well, I own a second bar that's actually successful." And he's like, "So help me out on this one." And he goes, "Hold on, now you're just trying to get in my pocket and have me renovate and redecorate this bar and put in all this stuff when you didn't even do this, like carry us through the first time." So he was like, "Hey, you know what? Fine. If you put up, here's my budget. If you put up a third of the price for this renovation, I'll rescue your bar again. But if you don't put up a third of this bar or this renovation price, I don't care, because right now, to me, you're just trying to get in my pockets again." And the guy was like, "Yeah, I don't have the money." He was like, "All right, fine, I'm out," and left. Oh, and I was like, "Damn, perfect. That sucks."
That's good. That's good, because why waste my time if you're not willing to put in the energy or the effort? All I'm asking you is to put in a little bit, and I'll carry you the rest of the way. So you're not willing.
Yeah, basically, he wanted him to have some skin in the game.
Yeah.
So I think that if you're gonna give somebody a second chance, you got to alter the situation where they have some skin in the game, a little bit more skin in the game, and if they come through and succeed, okay, then you can proceed cautiously. But if they don't have skin in the game, or they're not willing to put their skin in the game, then why are you fucking with them? Why are you even messing with them?
Yeah, nah, I got better people to waste my time with, to use my time wisely with.
Yeah. Especially your time is valuable. The time and the energy you spend on people is valuable. Yeah. So choose what and who you spend time on wisely.
Yeah. We have some time with these cigars. Where are you at on yours right now?
Probably about halfway through now. It's good. It's definitely interesting. I can taste a little bit of a meatiness with some sour cream. And it's like I said, it's interesting. The street taco has so far lived up to its name. It's really, really actually good. This is humidor worthy for sure.
Good. It's when I smoked it, I thought it was a nice smoke to, like, just a side smoke, like not like a go-to smoke, but just to change up your flavor profile and give it something a little different. Because I was pretty shocked when I got it. I was like, oh, meaty. Meaty was the flavor that I got, and I was like, this is interesting to have a meaty flavor in a cigar, a small cigar like that.
And maybe the name is kind of subconsciously implanting some stuff in me, but like right now I'm tasting like sour cream. It's interesting to me. I'm like, all right, I can get behind this. How about you?
This Casa 1910, being that it's Mexican pure all the way through, I'm actually getting that it's a light cinnamon with a graham cracker kind of like light finish, but I can also get some white pepper notes in it. It is a very good cigar. A startup company with a cigar this well, I'm not sure what it is ranking. If I had to rank it, I would say it would be in the low 90s. But as of right now, it's definitely humidor worthy. If I see it, I would definitely pick it up to put in my bunch to smoke like a nice cool evening where I don't want to be outside for that long.
See, to me, so like low 90s to me is that's good stuff, because you got to think, to me, just thinking off the top of my head, I know that like a nub Connecticut and a nub Cameroon have like a 91, 92 rating.
Yeah.
There's some cigar of the year. I think the Quattro was rated at like the aging room Quattro was rated at like a 94. And that was a cigar of the year.
Yeah.
So, low 90s to me is phenomenal. Like if I haven't ever really, I don't think I've ever smoked anything over a 90 that's ever been rated over a 94, 95.
Well, for a startup company, that's amazing.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, I wish it wasn't a startup company, because then I would be able to buy one easier and get one and try some, but hopefully more places start carrying them.
Yeah, well, it's just a matter of time, sir.
Well, and it also comes down to the fact of go to your cigar local brick and mortar and or internet company and say, hey, I would like for you guys to try carrying this because I'd like to purchase them.
Yeah, that actually works pretty well, if I remember correctly.
It does. It does. That brick and mortar I asked for the Rose of Sharon and I think a Jacob's Ladder for the Southern Draw. They picked some up, and now they have a whole section of Southern Draw cigars. And I was like, this is amazing.
Perfect.
Yeah. But I think we've pretty much exhausted this. I think it comes down, to the situation at hand, whether or not you give somebody a second chance. I think it also comes down to a little bit of intent and whether or not the person themselves is willing to learn, whether or not you give them a second chance or not.
I agree. I would venture more and say it depends on the person. There's definitely, for me, it would depend on the person.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to discount the situation. If it's a situation out of their control and somehow it just ends up getting blamed on you, that's one thing. Maybe it was a fluke accident or something. I don't know.
That's true. All right. Well, this has been a sidebar discussing about second chances. If you enjoy the podcast, please, by all means, share with your friends, share with others. And I look forward to hearing your thoughts.
Yeah. Give us your thoughts. Leave us a comment on our Instagram at Leadership of the Leaf. We're quite active on there. There's a link to our blog site, which is nsplume.wixsite.com/LOTL. And give us your thoughts. Let us know what you guys are thinking. Would you guys give a second chance to somebody who has already burned you, whether it be a subordinate or a leader, or heck, even a cigar that burned you kind of badly? Would you give it a second chance? I'd like to hear your thought.
All right. Thanks for listening. My name is Dice.
My name's Austin.
All right. Until next time.
We'll see you guys next time.
Thank you for listening to Leadership of the Leaf. The comments and opinions expressed by the host and guests does not reflect the opinions of those that broadcast this show, nor does it reflect any of our affiliates.